Words of memorial of tribute to the memory of Sara Grubman. Several family members will be speaking, her grandchildren first, Alex and Olivia, and then her dear son, Don. Alex and Olivia.
Thank you all for being here today. It is never easy to say goodbye to a loved one, and Grandma Sara was just that to all of us. To me, she was the most perfect Jewish grandmother a guy could ask for. I will always have fond memories of Passover Seder's and lighting the Hanukkah candles in Grandma Sara's house, as well as countless meals of her trademark chicken soup. Grandma Sara's generosity, kindness, and love for her family are traits that I've always admired in her, and they have shaped the type of person that I strive to be. I truly feel lucky to have had Grandma Sara in my life, and to have had her in my life for this long was a blessing. As I spoke with my father after Grandma Sara passed, we reflected on the fact that just 2 years ago, she made it to Chicago to attend my graduation from Northwestern. There's no doubt in my mind that this was not easy for her, but I also know that nothing could have stopped her as long as she was there. Her desire to see me at my graduation trumped any personal difficulties that she endured to be there, and that speaks to the type of person she was. While the last 2 years have not been easy, Grandma Sara still maintained her true form in certain moments. There was never a time I walked into her house that she did not insist I eat or drink something, and when she knew it was me, she always made sure to ask about my life, whether she remembered it or not, to know that I was happy and doing well. There are many moments I could look back on and share with you all, but one moment this summer sticks in my mind that I'd like to share. I had stopped by Grandma Sara's apartment on a weekend afternoon, and after chatting for a bit, Grandma Sara wasn't feeling well and needed to move to the couch to be more comfortable. Before I knew it, we had both fallen asleep and slept there for quite some time. Though no words passed between us, we were happy to be napping there in each other's company. And I will always cherish that last nap that we had together. This speech would not be complete without thanking my father. Thank you for being a great son, dedicated to the last moment. I know it wasn't always easy, but thank you for bringing my grandma a life truly full of happiness. You made her proud. And to Grandma Sara, to the woman who made the best potato pancakes and chicken cutlets, I want to tell you that I love you and I miss you. To me, you will be immortalized through my stomach whenever I eat these dishes, but more importantly, you will forever be in my heart.
As I think back about the time I got to spend with my Grandma Sara, a memory that comes to mind is when she tickled me. This was always a special moment between us. I remember when I was very young, she would tell me to put my kepi down and I would lie on her. She would tickle my back, sing Hebrew songs, and tell me amazing stories about her life. As I lay there, she told me about how she was born in Poland, grew up in Israel, and later worked as a nurse. She loved to tell me stories about the various members of our amazingly huge family. At times, I wouldn't even ask to be tickled. I would just sit down next to her and stick out my arms, and she knew what that meant. As my grandma got older, our time together changed, from my lying on her to her leaning on me. We didn't need to talk or tickle or tell stories from the past. It was just calming to be there embracing one another. Also, I appreciate the Jewish traditions that my grandma Sara helped to ingrain in me. We always spent the high holidays going to shul together, and we enjoyed cooking her signature potato latkes and chicken cutlets on Hanukkah. Unfortunately, I never remembered which utensils were milchek and fleshek in our kitchen, but she didn't seem to mind or lose patience with me when I asked. I admire her dedication to the Jewish traditions. Although she became more forgetful in the last few years, she always remembered that I live in Florida and I'm in medical school. Her memory about specific parts of my life showed me that even as she got confused about other things, she kept her memories of me, and I knew she was proud of me. I will never forget my last visit with her this past July. I walked into her apartment, apprehensive if she would recognize me. Within seconds, a big smile appeared on her face, and she exclaimed, "Olivia." I knew then that I was still her Shana Madel. This is a moment that I will always keep dear in my heart. I love you, Grandma Sara, and will miss you.
Thank you, Alex and Olivia, and thank you all who have come from near and far to pay respects to my mother. Now, for those of you who may not know, my mother was born in Poland and moved to Israel when she was a young girl. One of 10 children, she grew up in an Orthodox family in Bnei Brak, an Orthodox community. Her parents, Shalom and Glick, believed in allowing their daughters to pursue a secular education and didn't care what anyone else thought. My mother always placed a high value on education, which I believe she got from her parents. I also think that they were responsible for my mother's belief that no matter how strongly you feel about something, respect the views of those who believe otherwise and don't tell them how to lead their lives. My mother graduated from nursing school and worked in the operating room. Looking back, I believe that she wished she had become a doctor. She loved the medical profession. I know that she was disappointed in me for not pursuing a career in medicine, but I almost made up for that omission when I married Debbie, who is a physician. My mother was especially proud and excited when her granddaughter, Olivia, was admitted to medical school. Alex, I should mention that Grandma Sara also was extremely proud of you when you started your new job, even though she didn't really understand what you do. But let's face it, how many people in this room really do understand exactly what you do, other than fly all over the place? My mother grew up in Israel when it was ruled by the British. It was a tumultuous time in history, living in Israel in the years while it was born and during the Second World War, a truly frightening time in history. My mother came to the United States, met my father, and they married in 1947. They lived in the Bronx, surrounded by extended family. For my mother, family was everything. Although living in the United States didn't pose the same challenges my mother faced in Israel, life was far from easy. We never had much money growing up, but I didn't really notice it because my parents always made sure I had what I needed and then some. For example, they didn't have enough money to send me to camp, so my mother worked as a nurse at sleepaway camp so I could go. While we may not have been wealthy, if the only way good fortune is measured is by the amount of money you have, I was the richest kid in the world if love is the measure of good fortune. The thing I will remember and cherish the most about my mother is the boundless love she had for her family, and if I may say so, for me above all, until, of course, her grandchildren were born. Words can't describe how much she loved her grandchildren and was so proud of them. But my mother's love was not limited to her immediate family. She had so much love for many of you who are in this room, as well as family members who couldn't be here today, such as her sister Hannah, who is in Israel, and friends and family who have passed away. And my mother didn't just tell you how much she loved you. She was always thinking of what she could do for her friends and family. Even after she started to decline in recent years and couldn't live independently, her focus was on what other people needed and what she could do to help. When my mother's friend needed to go to the doctor, my mother wanted to accompany her to the appointment, until I reminded my mother that she couldn't go out of the house unless someone accompanied her. When my mother's niece was ill, my mother wanted to go to her house and help take care of her, until I again reminded my mother that she herself needed to be taken care of. Finally, I would be remiss if I didn't thank my mother for the values she instilled on me, and clearly in her grandchildren as well. The Jewish memorial prayer for a deceased mother begins with the phrase, Yizkor Elohim Nishmat Imi Morati. While this is often translated as, may God remember the soul of my respected mother, Morati literally means my teacher. I often think about how important it was to my mother to teach me about values such as hard work, sacrifice, loving and respecting the older members of your family, and loving and respecting your children. While I may not have been the best student in the world, thanks, Mom, for trying. I know it wasn't always easy. Now, to conclude, I would like to read from Ecclesiastes chapter 3, Kohelet. For those of you who are familiar both with the bird song, Turn, 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 and with my propensity to sing badly whenever I am near a microphone, don't worry, I promise not to break into song. So, Ecclesiastes chapter 3. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. Goodbye, Mom.